Okay, we are rolling. Greetings, welcome to the Hawkeye Rising YouTube channel. I'm Clint, your host, your Hawkeye. Okay, let's jump right in. Once again, thank you for being here. What is it? It is March the 28th, and let's. No. Oh boy. Okay, hold on. We can do this. Share. And no. Okay, fantastic. How are y'all doing? Okay, I know it's a rhetorical. No, I know you'll see this at some other point. This is pre-recorded just so I can make sure. Okay, I've not been spending a lot of time watching what's going on in Rome. Obviously it's happening. It's something I'll be looking at after it's finished. But CBC News, the National, has published something I wanted to share, and we have to go to the more opulent place. Well, we'll pause it there. And two key points, though: the humanity of the Pope, the opulence, the extravagance of Rome, and the fact that, where is it? Back to the statement of having to tell the head of the Hydra that injustice is being done in residential schools. Now, again, who is the Pope? What is the papacy? Who is he? And first, let's just briefly tackle just not a rabbit hole we're going to go down, but the national TV program, news program, which serves as the flagship broadcast for the English language news division of the CBC News by the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, created by James Mavor Moore. You have his dates: Canadian writer, producer, actor, public servant, critic and educator. He had notably appeared as Nero Wolfe in the CBC radio production in 1982. Moore was born. So James Mavor Moore was born in Toronto, Ontario, to Francis John Moore, an Anglican theologian, and Dora Mavor Moore, who helped establish the Canadian professional theatre in the 1930s and 40s. His mother was born in Glasgow, the daughter of economist James Mavor. So, what do we pull from that? So, here you have the Francis, and then of course Anglicanism. Is it Roman Catholic light, or is it Anglican and Anglicanism, or Anglican Church subterfuge for Roman Catholicism, or synonymous as well with Roman Catholicism? So, just a brief. Wanted to mention that. So, the Webster's Dictionary of 1828.com, and this, of course, is recognizing who is Pope Francis. He is, or Francis I. He is openly the first Jesuit Pope in all of human history. Let's look at the definition. Jesuit. Noun, one of the Society of Jesus, so-called, founded by Ignatius Loyola, a society remarkable for their cunning in propagating their principles. We'll also look up Jesuitism. Noun, the arts, principles, and practices of the Jesuits. Remember, this is 1828 dictionary. Definitions are very different today. Jesuitism, cunning, deceit, hypocrisy, prevarication, deceptive practices to effect a purpose. Let's go to Unum Sanctum, a papal bull that was issued by Pope Boniface VIII on 18th November 1302. In one of my previous videos, I know I jump around a lot, and admittedly, information bleeds. There's no standalone video. It just all has the bleeding effect, the Assassin's Creed bleeding effect of applying the information that bleeds one video to the other and to the next and so forth. Because again, there's so much information. How do you nail this all down in one? You can't. And I don't think you're here expecting that. No, and I'm learning too. And that's is it the beauty of it? It's also the horror of it. It's the shock of it, but also we also recognize my people perish for lack of knowledge. How do we, and then also recognizing that knowledge, being knowledge keepers ourselves, what is truth? What's false? How do we know if something being passed down to us is a true or a lie? Various litmus tests and so on. But back to 1302. Let's see. I referenced the 1300s and the Jesuits. I believe also have a very similar symbol as the Jesuit order. You have Giovanni Colombini, the founder of the order in 1360, I believe, and also has a death date and feast. I believe his feast day as well is July 31st, the same as the founder of the Jesuit order, Ignatius Loyola. So, Unum Sanctum, 1302. It laid down dogmatic propositions of the unity of the Catholic Church, the necessity of belonging to it for eternal salvation. Without looking at the bull specifically, of course, here we are, user-edited Wikipedia. We also refer to it as Vatipedia. This is highly controlled information, just like Frederick Tupper Saucy's Rulers of Evil, Useful Knowledge of Governing Bodies. But what is wonderful about Wikipedia is how the brevity, the information in brief, and recognizing that it is highly questionable. So, of course, go to multiple sources, but it is a brilliant synopsis, place for it to give it and get a synopsis. The necessity of belonging to it, the Roman Catholic Church, for eternal salvation. The position of the Pope as supreme head of the Church, and the duty thence arising of submission to the Pope to belong to the Church and thus to attain salvation. The Pope further emphasized the high position of the spiritual in comparison with the secular order. Okay, we can leave that for now. Okay, just the point of this, obviously, just who is the Pope? You have a delegation of indigenous going to see the Pope for what they hope is an apology. Is it a highly controlled situation? We don't know all the player involved at this time. Let's visit Pastor Eternus. Pastor Eternus, the first dogmatic constitution of the Church of Christ, was issued by the First Vatican Council, July 18th, 1870. The document defines 4 doctrines of the Catholic faith: the apostolic primacy conferred on Peter, the perpetuity of the Peterine primacy in the Roman pontiffs, popes, the definition of the papal primacy as a papal supremacy, and papal infallibility, infallible teaching authority of the Pope. So who are these people meeting? Who are these Canadians, those that have grievously been either at the hands of priests themselves or are children of those that have been at the hands? Okay, wow. I'm just gonna take a sip of water. As I shared in my previous video, you don't go to your rapist or the one who's buggered you and ask for an apology. How do I want to put this? Abuse at the hands of clergy is the rule, not the exception. If you're familiar with any of the work on, well, I know this channel is very young. Eric 777's channel, Johnny Cerrucci's books, his Odyssey channel, Eaters of Children, the Pedocracy Exposed, How Access to Power is Granted to the Rape, Torture, and Ritualistic Slaughter of the Innocent, covers this in great detail, as well as his other books. Abuse is intentional. Abuse by Rome and through Rome is intentional. Today, March 29th, father of Jesuit Tobias Matthew, was an Anglican bishop, president of St. John's College, Vice Chancellor of Oxford University, Dean of Durham. All these positions plus others were appointed to Matthew by Elizabeth I. Remember John in my previous John D. Tubal-Cain, the 007 signature. Eventually, he was appointed Archbishop of York in 1606 by Elizabeth's successor James I. Today, all as well, I wanted to point out, and we'll get into this. Oh, sorry about that. Let's back up. We have, where are you? 18. Oh my goodness. 1882. The Knights of Columbus is the Global Catholic Fraternal Order founded by Michael J. McGivney on the 29th of March, or March 29th, 1882. Membership is limited to practicing Catholic men. It is led by Patrick E. Kelly, the Order's 14th Supreme Knight. Who is the founder? Michael J. Joseph McGivney. Here we have his dates. Irish-American Catholic priest based in New Haven, Connecticut. He founded the Knights of Columbus at a local parish to serve as mutual aid and fraternal insurance organization, particularly for immigrants and their families. It developed through the 20th century as the world's largest Catholic fraternal organization. Cause of his canonization. That's okay. What I wanted to point out. Okay, studies. In 1868, at the age of 16, he entered the Séminaire de Saint-Hyacinthe in Saint-Hyacinthe, Quebec, Canada. It's interesting. I know I say interesting a lot. It is what it is. Kind of pisses me off, but it is what it is. I'm working on it. Learning how to talk, learning how to not use interesting as much as I do. Okay, Quebec, Canada. Quebec, Canada. If one drives around Quebec, it is phenomenal and interesting how many signs for the Knights of Columbus. It's obviously en français, so it's phrased differently, but you have the Knights of Columbus sign and symbol. McGivney continued his studies at Our Lady of Angels Seminary near Niagara Falls, New York, and at the 1871-1872, and at the Jesuits St. Mary's College in Montreal, Quebec. While in seminary, he and other seminarians formed a baseball. There we go, baseball, and then if sports, space. Okay, let's finish this baseball team. Good old ADD kicking in. McGivney was a natural, talented baseball player. Okay, sports. Oh my goodness. Geometry effects. Zach Hubbard. Phenomenal information on sports, the bread and circuses of sports. And Jesuit, gematria, how would I say it? And then also too, just literally nailing it to the Jesuit order. Okay. Knights of Columbus. Knights of Columbus, and then so I don't know if this is alopecia, slap. Smith slaps rock. I don't know. Aletea.org. Knights of Columbus are boots on the ground in Ukraine relief efforts. So the Catholic Service Organization committed $1 million for immediate distribution to displaced families and refugees, which is already being distributed thanks to local knights. The Knights of Columbus announced on Wednesday. So I know this is a couple. So from March 4th. Obviously. The organization said that it also launched the Ukraine Solidarity Fund and pledged to match all funds raised up to an additional $500,000. As of March 2nd, the fund has raised over almost $750,000 for a total of $2.2 million in assistance. According to the Knights, 100% of the donations are being used to assist internally displaced persons and refugees from Ukraine. In a February 25th video message, Supreme Knight Patrick Kelly told more than 1,800 Knights of Columbus in Ukraine that the organization was honored to work on behalf of their countrymen. Some of the proudest moments in the order's history have come amid the adversity and war. We are called Knights for a reason. There is a reason we count patriotism among our guiding principles. The hour is upon us. The organization credits extensive local connections with churches and communities, as well as networks of local knights and volunteers for the rapid relief effort. Okay, so the beatification of, let's just jump to this briefly. We have founder, Knight of Columbus founder, Michael Joseph McGivney, beatified. And then of course, what's beatification? Beatification is the step right before sainthood. Pardon me. Before sainthood, by beatifying someone, the church proclaims that the person in question is A, definitely in heaven, and B, definitely able to plead to God on your behalf if you pray to him. This is theoretically true for any other Christians in heaven too, but beatification is meant to be a rigorous process in order to prove this is the case. Do we pray to saints? Do we appeal to them? Do we pray to the dead? If the so-called dead visit you, what's I know it's a rabbit hole. Is it the dead? Is it that person that's visiting you or another entity? Beatified. So the 31st of October 2020, and this is an interesting point. The Cathedral of St. Joseph, Hartford, Connecticut, United States, by Cardinal Joseph W. Tobin on behalf of Pope Francis. So Pope Francis, perhaps in order to keep some kind of arm's reach from this, as attributes the priest attire, books, and the rosary. Okay. Beatification, fulfillment. Okay, let's watch this for a moment. So fulfilling Father McGivney's mission at the Polish-Ukrainian border. Let's jump back to March 25th, the consecration of Russia and Ukraine to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. March 25th. Remember, we have the consecration. We also have the Annunciation, the Feast of the Annunciation, and also Jean de Brébeuf's birthday. So the Mass and Eucharistic procession on Ukrainian border. Okay, that's the only helper after our Lord Jesus Christ, the Blessed Virgin. One point I did want to jump back to is back to the indigenous delegation. Sorry for jumping around backwards here, but this is in a way of utmost importance. So you have the Knights of Columbus. You have their symbol of the within the middle, right in the middle of it. You have the fasces, or the fasces is a single, or the fasci is singular. Anyway, one or the other. But the fact that you have the bundle of rods around an instrument of war. And remember, reading from Tabarsassi's Rulers of Evil, that the fasces represents the Jesuit Superior General. And the current Jesuit Superior General is Arturo Sosa. But back to the indigenous delegation. Meeting with Jesuit Pope Francis. Francis would have taken this vow, so on top of the 3 vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, there's the 4th vow, which is a special vow of obedience to the Pope, the Black Pope, also known as Jesus Christ. And I've read this before, but I'll put it in this video again. I do further promise and declare that I will have no opinion or will of my own, or any mental reservation whatsoever, even as a corpse or cadaver, perindiac cadaver, but will unhesitatingly obey each and every command that I may receive from my superiors in the militia of the Pope and of Jesus Christ, that I will go to any part of the world whatsoever I may be sent, so on and so on. I do further promise and declare that I will, when openly, start that again. I do further promise and declare that I will, when opportunity presents, make and wage relentless war, secretly and openly, against all heretics, as I am directed to do, to extirpate them from the face of the whole earth. That I will spare neither age, sex, nor condition. That I will hang, burn, waste, boil, flay, strangle, and bury alive these infamous heretics. Rip up the stomachs and wombs of their women, and crush their infants' heads against the walls, in order to annihilate their execrable race. So is Francis receiving these Canadians an act of compassion or an act of Jesuitism? Speaking of Anglican Church, I'd had I don't know, some kind of controversy around this. It was tripe and subterfuge, but Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, I believe, actually is translated as green, but you have him appearing in the green T-shirt with this particular cross multiple times, and it's been accused, I think, of it being an iron cross. Now, the iron cross it's very stylistic and recognizable. Clearly, this cross is not an iron cross. I believe this cross is a representation is St. George's cross is used in Sweden and in Finland. There's no curve, it's just a slight flare from center out. And then, of course, remember the positive shape, negative space. It can almost make a double cross, which, of course, I have stated before, I believe is the mark of, you have the 4 limbs of one, and for the 4 limbs of the other represent the mark of Cain. Cain being restrained upon some kind of device, whether an altar or by each of his 4 limbs, and which also translated in how Yahshua Mashiach, Jesus of Nazareth, would be slaughtered upon a type of altar or restraining device by each limb. A crucifix, a That's yeah, we'll wait for that. Okay, so St. George is the patron saint of the nation of Georgia. The St. George flag was supposedly used in the 5th century by the Georgian king. In the 13th century, Queen Tamar of Georgia used the St. George flag during her campaign against the Seljuk Turks. The 4 Jerusalem crosses were later added by King George V of Georgia, who drove out the Mongols from Georgia in 1334. The flag fell out during the Russian annexation of Georgia and abolition of the Georgian monarchy. However, the flag was revived by the Georgian patriotic movement in the 1990s. A majority of Georgians supported the restoration of the medieval flag of Georgia, including the influential Catholicos Patriarch of all Georgia, Ilya II, and Elijah of the Georgian Orthodox Church. The flag was finally adopted by the Georgian Parliament on January 14th, 2004. It was formally endorsed by presidential decree signed by Mikhail Saakashvili. Reminds me of Zuga's another name on January 25th. Interesting. That's January 25th, 1978 is Vladimir Zelensky's birthday, following his election of president of Georgia. So back to this. Is this I was thinking of it more being Zelensky's cross is more of a Templar, not Maltese, but a Templar cross. It's good should know our cross shapes and sizes. What's also interesting at the same time, back to Anglicanism, the flag of Great Britain, and the Union flag, it's the combination of 3 separate crosses: St. George's Cross, St. Andrew's Cross, and St. Patrick's Cross. This is also known as the Union Jack. Back to it's made up of 3 crosses, but it symbolizes a double cross. Back to the mark of Cain, the mark of Anu, and again back to, I believe, how Cain slaughtered Abel, which was also recreated, that Jesus had to recreate as the second Adam. Internet Encyclopedia of Ukraine. Okay, I know I don't want to. Just wanted to point out that it mentions, of course, all these links will be in the description. There were 23 Jesuit colleges in Ukrainian territory. This does cover 1500s, 1600s, and up to. Okay. The Jesuit order produced some outstanding historians of the Eastern Church, such as, and then we get a couple Ukrainian names. Again, the link will be in the description. Okay, the Society of Jesus from Jesuits.global. Oh man, how do you sitting still and doing this for? I can see why George gets up and walks around. The Society of Jesus coordinates support for crisis in Ukraine. And this is also March 3rd, 2022. The Society, just wanted to point out, the Society of Jesus in Ukraine is part of the Southern Poland province and is present in, well, you can see the names, with 12 Jesuits in the country. The Society runs 2 residences, 2 parishes, a retreat house, and a house for refugees. One of the Jesuits is a military chaplain. Oh, and it says Zelensky. There's a Zelensky name there too, and I believe whether it's the same person, that's something else. Anyway, and why do I wanted to point that out is because of, maybe we'll run this for a second. From Captain America, Civil War. 12 Jesuits in the country. This has come up in many Suruchi team briefs, also in Johnny's books. The Jesuits at Hiroshima, you have the 4. Well, in the photo there's 4, but I think there was, I can't remember the number, but it was just over a handful. Jesuits at Hiroshima, less than a mile from ground zero of the atomic bomb on August 9th, 44, not only survived but never got radiation poisoning. Why? Because they were living out the Fatima message and saying the rosary every day. Okay. I think, you know what, I was going to read about the Knights of Columbus from Romans and Mass Destruction. Maybe I'll get into that next time. But I do want to finish with this. The Crown Victoria, or the Corona. Is it a mindset? What does it mean? We know the Crown Victoria. Obviously, the official narrative is not just highly questionable, but an outright false narrative. Okay. A crown. Among the Romans, the highest distinction awarded for service in war. The most coveted were the Corona Triumphalis, or the laurel crown of a general in triumph, and the Corona Obsidionalis, presented to a general by the army which he had saved from a siege or from a shameful capitulation. I wanted to jump down. So the Corona, an emblem of victory at the games and a token of distinction for citizens of merit. Such crowns of honor were made originally of olive branches, but later of gold. The honor of a crown could be conferred by the people or the Senate, or by corporations in foreign states. The latter would often present a crown to the whole Commonwealth. If the people or Senate presented the crown, the presentation took place in the Great Assembly or in the Senate House, but not in the theater, except by special decree. Since crowns played a considerable part as ornaments at religious rites, as well at festivals and banquets, the trade of crown making, mostly in women's hands, was naturally extensive. The art of making, the art of war, the art of making what were called winter crowns. ... Okay. After sheltering in place for over, 2 years, have you received your crown, your Corona Triumphalis? What the heck is his name? Van Rompuy? We're all Jesuits now. Have we participated in Ignatian spiritual exercises without recognizing it? And of course, considering who's going to be listening to this whether it'll either make sense or it won't. Of course, there's always information to cover, and that we'll wrap it up now. So, in brief, we have the indigenous delegation to Rome, who the Jesuit Pope is, what he would have, the fourth vow he would have declared in part, Jesuitism, unum sanctum, the dogmatic proposition of the unity of the Catholic Church and the necessity of belonging to it for eternal salvation. With the Knights of Columbus, today is the anniversary date since its founding, and oops, what does this man represent anyway? Signs and symbols. Okay, let's see, how do we finish this? End screen share. Okay, we've been going for a few minutes. Again, thank you for being here. Eyes open, right? And have discernment. For now, this is your Hawkeye. Thank you for being here. Bye for now.